Welcome to episode 758 of Salsido Paranormal. I'm your host, James Salsido, and tonight I am sharing experiences, true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media, ways to listen to the show, and ways to support the show at the podcast page, the website actually, which is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. And also, please check out all the links in the episode descriptions for friends of the show that are always helping the show, including Jen, the Arcane Observer, who is the co-host of the show on the weekends, whenever possible, and Michael Strange of Trouble Minds Radio, both the show and the network. Trouble Minds Radio, KUAP, digital broadcasting, where you can hear all kinds of amazing shows from amazing people 24/7, and including this show. So, takes care of everything there. I believe that means we can get right to these true stories. And so, here we go with this. This one says, I am a termite exterminator with 7 years of experience. And on this particular day, I was treating the home of an older man. When I arrived, I noticed the front door was open, but the screen door was shut. I called out and heard a woman's voice inside reply, "Just a minute." After waiting for a while and receiving no response, I rang the doorbell, and now through the front door that the sliding back door was open, and a man was walking in. The man let me in, and I began to check the home for termites. I noticed that the man was alone, but there were many pictures of him with his wife throughout the house. The man mentioned his wife unprompted, indicating that he loved her very much, and she was on his mind at the time. After finishing the treatment, the man told me to let myself out, and I felt compelled to say goodbye to the voice I had heard earlier. When I turned to leave, I heard the same voice say, "You too," in a response to my "have a nice day" greeting. Every hair on my neck stood up, and I quickly left the house without looking back. I am a straightforward person, and I don't believe in things I can't see or prove. But I know what I heard. This experience has changed my perspective on life and death, and that's where that one ends. That's an amazing one there. I've shared one other account similar to that, where someone had some kind of work to do on a house, and it wasn't the same, and it wasn't the same style of writing. I don't think it was the same person. And actually, the other true story I shared, there was two people there that both heard something, I believe. But it always makes me think of these people that go to homes for various services to do various things and work on the house or whatever, or the land. How many of them have experiences that they hardly ever, maybe never share because they're just too weird to them? Yeah, it sounds like possibly the man who owned the house was there with his wife in some way. She was still there somehow, at least able to make sounds and welcome again this the person that wrote this account, welcome them in and then say goodbye to them. Basically, that's really amazing, and it wouldn't surprise me if that was sort of some amount or some level of that person still being there because of how close they were to their husband, the owner of the house there, and sort of looking after things and um, still being friendly, but also just keeping an eye on things as well. Um, I had that feeling when I was there was a brief time years ago when my older sister and her family moved into the house that used to belong to my grandparents, and so my older sister and her husband they both had a couple of a few kids, and they were all two of them were teenagers. One was, I think, not quite 10 years old yet, maybe 7 or 8. I forget now. Um, I'm terrible with memories of dates and all that. But whenever the kids would all be upstairs, whenever they go to bed at night, I would get this feeling of someone just slowly moving through the house and just checking on everything. And they would know I was there. I could never tell who it was or um, never saw anything, but it was just a feeling I get. And of course, with me, because of my low vision, I would just be sitting there listening to a podcast or audiobook on my laptop that was working okay at the time. Um, and so I'd just be sitting there in the dark, and I would just have all the lights off, and oh, and the reason I was watching the kids at night was my older sister has always been in music bands and groups on and off over the years, and so I was staying with the kids just for the night, not even staying completely overnight. Just staying there until they got back. Her husband got back, and then one of them would take me back home after. So, but I had this experience there several times with having the sense of there being someone there that is connected to the house, possibly connected to the family. Maybe one or both of my grandparents. I don't know for sure, but just checking on things and keeping an eye on everything and making sure everything was okay. So yeah, neat account there of an experience from someone else with who was actually on the job working at the time. So moving on to the next one here. Let's see. Okay. Scroll down a bit. Okay. This one says, I was 11 years old and had just undergone surgery and was staying in the hospital for several days. Due to the surgery, I was in pain and had trouble breathing because I didn't have any tissues to blow my nose. At night, when there were fewer nurses on duty, I tried to call a nurse for help, but it took a while for someone to respond. A nurse eventually came in and used cotton swabs with cream to help me breathe better, and then threw the packet away. I fell asleep, but when I woke up the next morning, the small packet of cotton cotton swabs was missing from the trash can. The assigned nurse and doctor were confused because I described the helping nurse as Asian with black hair, but no one matching that description was on duty that night. This helping nurse's presence was cold, but they were kind and helped me breathe better that night. And that's where that one ends. Um, there's just, again, that's a whole other topic for probably a whole series of shows that could be done at some point is experiences people have in medical facilities. And so that's really amazing that person had that experience. I've heard accounts where people have seen nurses or doctors wearing clothes that were different from everyone else's clothes that they had seen while they were in a hospital or any kind of medical facility. Um, I've heard of that before, and even patients wearing different things. So And these are all things that have been seen by people. This one is amazing because it's not just a sort of a sighting of something or someone that the person just saw. This was a physical contact in a way between the person in the hospital and someone else, something else that they thought was a regular person, except this presence felt cold, but also was still kind, as I said in the post there. So that really is amazing how many accounts there are of these similar experiences in medical facilities. Like I said, I could easily do a whole show or more on that topic. So, but I haven't done that yet because these kinds of accounts of these kinds of experiences, they do show up every so often. So there's really, I almost feel like there's not really a need to do a whole show on that because eventually there's going to be more that show up anyway of these kinds of accounts. So I guess that's probably why I haven't done that yet. Moving on to the next one here. This one says, my best friend and I, both 16 years old at the time, were attending a men's group church retreat on a summer night. It was around 10:30 p.m., and we decided to walk back to our dorm to play video games and then go to sleep. As we were walking up a large hill, we noticed we were alone and started laughing and joking around. Suddenly, I saw a smoky figure of a small boy, about 5 years old, walking down the hill behind our dorm. The figure was slightly see-through and had a striped shirt on and had short, curly hair, but no facial features were visible. I was frozen in shock, not fear, and turned to my friend, who was also staring at the figure. Neither of us spoke, and we quickly darted back down the hill to the bonfire where everyone else was gathered. After catching our breath, I turned to my friend and asked if they saw the same thing, and my friend confirmed that they did. We couldn't explain what we saw, and we didn't tell anyone about it, finding it too surreal. The experience was shocking but not frightening or malevolent, and it remains the only paranormal experience I've ever had. And that's where that one ends. The smoky aspect of some apparitions is always amazing to me. I always wonder what is the cause of that. Is that just how some apparitions appear because of the perceptions of the people? Is it a slightly different state of energy or being that makes it look smoky? Is it possible for, I don't know, for consciousness to take on some form that is similar to smoke that makes them look like they are made of smoke? I have no idea, but I've heard that description and read that description a lot over the years. That, and then of course I've heard of figures of mist, or even figures of light. And so I don't know why one apparition is described as one thing and another is described as another, how it works or why that is the case, but definitely heard so many accounts of all these things. So I do wonder about the history of the place where the writer and their friend were at. If it was Hopefully, it was just some kind of either residual energy or a time distortion, time slip, time something or other, times interacting with each other somehow. But again, I don't know. So moving on to the next one here. Let's see here. Okay. This one says, about 30 years ago, I was a high school student living with my mother. Mother? Yeah, okay, there we go. My mother in a 1970s era house on a quiet road behind a row of pine trees. My mother was a nurse and was often away from home when I returned from school. One day I arrived home from school and unlocked the door to find a teenage boy standing at the sink in the open plan living room and kitchen area. The boy had blonde hair and an outdated 1970s hairstyle and was wearing similar clothing. I froze and didn't know what to say or do. After a few minutes of standing there, I called out to the boy, saying, "Hey," twice, but he didn't respond. Feeling irritated, I half yelled, "Hey," and the boy finally turned around to look directly at me. To my surprise, the boy slowly faded away over the course of a few seconds. This was not a dream or hallucination. I have no explanation for what happened. I've never had anything like that happen before or since to this day. That's where that one ends. That is amazing. Again, another one of these um, apparitions, and again, just no doubt as to sort of the description of the figure there. Sounds like it was very clear. Sounds like it was solid until it disappeared. Um, and it sounds like it could have been uh, conscious, but it's always hard to say with sort of without the ability to talk with the individual that had the experience. And even then, it might not be always be so easy to figure out if it was aware of the writer there, the person that had the experience, or not. Um, I know that it maybe it seemed like it like this apparition was aware, but sometimes I wonder if that can be a if there can still be residual energy, residual images in places, and the timing of when it is there and when it vanishes, and then the timing of it of this figure turning around could have somehow matched up with the writer's reactions to it. In other words, it wasn't turning around because it was hearing the writer. It just happened that at that point in the manifestation, whatever it was going to turn around anyway. So there's really no way, I don't think, to know for sure when that's all that happens and then it fades away. So, so I don't know, but that is a possibility there that it was either residual or that it was some consciousness that was there for whatever reason. Moving on to the next one here, I think we can get one more in before uh, before we stop for the day. Let's see here. This one says, my friend and I were relaxing in my house, watching a movie, when he got up to use the bathroom. As soon as he left the room, I heard his voice, but it wasn't coming from the bathroom. It was coming from outside, loud and clear. I got up and walked towards the window to investigate, and that's when I saw my friend's face smiling at me through the glass. I was frozen in shock, unable to process what I was seeing, because I had just seen my friend walk towards the bathroom seconds earlier. I brushed it off as my mind playing tricks on me. But when my friend returned from the bathroom, I asked if he had tried to scare me by sneaking around the house. He looked confused and said he had been in the bathroom the whole time, which made me even more uneasy. Later that night, I couldn't couldn't stop thinking about what I saw and tried to figure out what had happened. After researching online, I discovered that what I had seen was a doppelganger, a duplicate or identical twin of my friend. I was left with a sense of unease and uncertainty, unable to shake the feeling that something strange and unexplained had happened. So that's the end of that one. And yeah, there's just so many accounts of that. These duplicates being around, and sometimes they seem to be neutral. Other times they seem to be trying to get the attention of the person having the experience, and maybe in a frightening or negative way. Other times they're just going about regular business, and I don't know how any of that works, but I've read so many accounts of all those variations on the account I just read. Looking at this next one here, let's see if we can get this one in. This one says, I was around 7 or 8 years old when I saw something strange at my home, which was still under construction at the time. My mom told me to go outside and to grab something, and I walked through an open corridor to get to the outdoor bathroom. As I walked, I saw something moving towards the bathroom from the left side of the corridor. At first, I thought it was a tiny animal, but it was too tall to be a dog and too small to be a horse. The creature had thin, malnourished body, with caramel-colored fur or skin, and his head was identical to my grandfather's, bald with wrinkles and wearing glasses. The eyes were unusual, possibly white, gray, or red, and didn't seem normal. I didn't remember hearing any sounds of the creature reacting to me, but it turned its neck as if it had heard me. I ran back inside the house and told my mom, but I'm not sure if she believed me or told me to pray. I never saw the creature again, and it didn't haunt me or appear in my dreams. The memory has stayed with me, and I'm still trying to figure out what it was. And that's basically the end of that account, and that is all the time we have for this episode. Thank you all for listening. I'll talk to you next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.